Like, if all of a sudden they announced some kind of major UFC match for WrestleMania, I'm with you. I think people would be hyped as shit.
This is the Casual Wrestling Show. Casual Wrestling Show.
So last night we saw appearances from TKO's other promotions, specifically Michael Chandler from the UFC. How did you or do you feel about the crossover of promotions as we seen Chandler call out Conor McGregor last night? And do you believe we'll ever see a crossover event in the future between UFC and the WWE?
So this is interesting. I think you have to wear two different hats to answer this question. I first put on my WWE hat. And with my WWE hat, I go, that's gold. That's great. Like, you got Michael Chandler to come on Monday Night Raw and call out Conor McGregor. I mean, you're getting the wrestling news cycle and the MMA news cycle. Like, there's nothing to complain about as a wrestling fan, as somebody in WWE. All positives. I don't see any problem with any of that. I do want to go on record as saying, I think I said a long time ago, TKO was going to eventually stick their hands into WWE, Endeavor and TKO. I know the IWC and a lot of people have said, oh, they're hands off. They don't get involved in companies. I think with WWE, it's a little different because WWE is a live, it's a live microphone. You can do and say what you want. And I think they saw it as Conor McGregor's playing some games. Let's make a fool out of him on TV. And WWE is the perfect place to do that. Now, take off WWE hat, put on UFC hat. Dana White, what the fuck are you let go on here? Like, what is happening? Dana White has worked so hard to draw a very distinct line between what is professional wrestling, fake fighting, and what is the UFC. And all of a sudden, we have Chandler call out McGregor in WWE. And now, I don't know, are they doing this at WrestleMania? Like, why not? Let's put them in the ring together. Even if it's just promotion for a UFC fight, let's do it because it works. But if I'm Dana White, did Dana approve this, or did this just kind of go on? Chandler show up at wrestling and they're like, give him a mic. Let him talk his shit. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, so I think a lot of this has to do with Vince being gone, honestly, because I know Dana and Vince didn't necessarily align with a lot of stuff. So I think you're going to see crossover now since Vince is no longer associated with the company. And I loved it last night, man. He gave me, I was watching Raw. We're hitting kind of a dead point. All of a sudden, I'm all juiced up. I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome.
I was ready to go.
Yeah. So in terms of like an actual crossover event, listen, man, I could see down the line WrestleMania having a UFC fight, and I could see it kind of being sort of like a war game situation where they have a ring and then they have an octagon, right? So
I misread the question. So you're talking about intertwining in a single building an event together?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like, I feel like you could sell out a Lincoln Financial Field and you can get a crossover where you get UFC and WWE fans in one building, and maybe you have, a card with WWE, and then you have maybe one or two UFC fights, maybe just one UFC fight where it's like a mega fight, right? I honestly, I'm not throwing that out the window because at this point now, I think anything's on the table.
That's interesting. I read so when you wrote that question to me, I interpreted it differently. I interpreted it as like a weekend of a UFC fight and wrestling in the same city at the same time. And I thought, I don't know why that would benefit anybody, right? Because wrestling's a lot of money. UFC's a lot of money. I don't know that I'm ever going to go to a WWE event and go, I'll drop another $250 on going to see UFC. Now, what you just said is extremely interesting, extremely intriguing. And I think it works only going the direction of UFC happening in WWE. Like, if all of a sudden they announced some kind of major UFC match for WrestleMania, I'm with you. I think people would be hyped as shit. Like, and it works. You have enough you just need the right kind of guy, the Colby Covington, the Masvidal, someone like that who's going to talk their shit and play it up and be a part of the spectacle. Chandler and McGregor, you don't waste it at WrestleMania. That's going to sell a UFC fight, but something of that level. Right. Yeah, you introduce WWE fans into, hey, this is another product that, while is different, does have some similarities and can have some shit talking. I like that. I didn't think of it And they did that, right? Like, if I think back to the Attitude Era, they at one point they were having like weird cage matches on the side.
I mean, you've seen like boxers and stuff come in before, so I why not dip your toes and see? I mean, it doesn't hurt to try.
I like that. I did not think of doing something like that. That's interesting. Or letting someone come in and beat the shit out of Riddle, rehire him and do it again.
Hey, you better bring it if we debating going toe to toe. No holding back, I'm speaking the facts. Let me introduce you to the dopest show. Nerdy D and Milwaukee Mike, bringing the energy. If you a fan of wrestling and especially WWE, this is the Casual Wrestling Show.